think everybody thought that Leinster were huge favourites getting into the final last year as well. And obviously they got off to that cracking start, and everybody thought the game was done and dusted after 25 minutes. But the power of La Rochelle came flooding back tenfold, especially in that second half. And yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic of how Ronan O'Gara's brought his troops from South Africa to Cork. His Instagram or Twitter post of like him landing in Cork airport and with a picture out the window and it's just pissing down with rain. And he's like, good to be home or welcome home or something like that. So, yeah, I think yet again he's trying to play a few mind games, probably trying to get all the support down in Munster to rally behind the boys, his boys that is, in La Rochelle. And yeah, well, why not? They've been on a plane for a hell of a long time over the last couple of weeks, and they're away from home, but they're away from home at the Aviva Stadium, which is going to be close to a sellout, I believe. It's going to be an unbelievable occasion, and yeah, he's just making sure that his team are as best prepared as possible to deliver a performance. And you're right, because La Rochelle have been inconsistent. He's been resting players. He's been mixed matching his team a little bit, where Leinster just seem to be um, have just sort of built really well and broadly brought all the Irish internationals back in again after the Six Nations. And after their last performance, obviously, they look like a team that's going to be really hard to beat. Obviously, Leicester, you would think that they would beat them 9 out of 10 times at home, wouldn't you? They did. They conceded a couple of soft tries, got off to a bad start with Andre Pollard scoring that first try. And then obviously the week before, the Bulls travelled over to Leinster and got absolutely dominated. And I know there was a lot of chat from Jake White about the travel situation and circumstances that, probably didn't help their chances of getting a win over in the RDS. But yeah, two teams that are going to go absolutely toe to toe. It's just unfortunate. Well, as a fan, this isn't a repeat of the final. How good would that be? The experience that with everything on the line, but it's not. It's a quarter final. That's where we are, and I feel it's Leinster's time. I feel it's Leinster with Jack Nienaber involved there. He's a cute, very detailed coach. I think anybody that's watched Chasing the Sun too, would be able to see how much detail the coaches go into to try and negate the opposition tactics, and he'll I'm sure have something up his sleeve. But it's the same old thing, Donny. Can Leinster meet the power of La Rochelle? Can they meet the power? And they did it for parts last year, but ultimately they didn't have enough in the tank. And the likes of Big Will Skelton back in there playing some really good rugby, and we got carded at the weekend. But yeah, they're a team that will take confidence from that victory against the Stormers, albeit Manny Labok missing the last kick of the game for the Stormers to go through. And yeah, I think it's going to be a tight game, but I do see Leinster getting on top and running out victorious. I think they need to give their fans that big win against La Rochelle. There's just so many question marks around the physicality. And I know we talk about it week in and week out about those physicality stakes, but it's the basics of rugby. You win the collisions, you win the gain line, both with ball in hand and when you're coming up in D line and tackling. And if you can win the majority of those collisions, that's going to send you a long way to getting the right result. So these Leinster boys are going to be absolutely fired up. I think the key thing for me is who's going to play at 10. Who's going to lead the boys? Is it going to be the steady Eddie Ross Byrne? Is it going to be Harry Byrne who's a bit more free flowing? Will Frawley step in there? I don't think Prendergast will start in this game, that's for sure. But it's going to be an intriguing fixture, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the two team sheets when they're announced. It was funny watching that game. Feels like years ago, and La Rochelle didn't seem that fussed that they lost. Like that sounds weird, but it wasn't like they had their head in their hands and it was the end of the world that Leinster just come over and beaten them. And I think Ronan O'Gara backed his team to get out of the pool and meet Leinster again. And obviously it's a knockout game now. That wasn't a knockout game, but Leinster can take a lot out of it. They played really well for largely the weather was absolutely atrocious. I can remember. I think La Rochelle turned down numerous opportunities to kick a goal, and maybe that come back to haunt him. But yeah, Will Connors was selected in that game to many people's surprise, because Josh Van der Fleer is obviously one of the first names on the team sheet. So yeah, again, there could be a few curveballs when it comes to the selection. There's also chat amongst the media whether could Leinster go a 7-1 split on the bench. I doubt that's going to happen, but yeah, they might need a bit more firepower up front, so it could be an interesting 6-2 split if they do go that way. But yeah, I'm not sure that this La Rochelle side will care too much who's going to play for Leinster, and they will back themselves, and it'll be everything about them this week down in Cork. Getting the team morale up, getting everybody feeling good, resting a few sore bodies after the win against the Stormers, and just making sure that they don't go down 16-0 or whatever it was, like it was like last year's final, and that they have a foothold in the game from the first minute, instead of playing catch up. And if they can do that, they'll absolutely back themselves to win the game. And just lastly, like, what message would it send if La Rochelle did beat Leinster? I think, everybody's just talking about how much it means for Leinster to beat La Rochelle. Well, flip it over, flip it on its head. Like, if La Rochelle do them again, like, it really is a statement of intent, to everybody else in the competition, and it's a statement that La Rochelle have Leinster's number. And yet again, it would be another talking point for Rowan O'Gara and his coaching career, on how well that's progressed over the last couple of seasons. And he's able to beat the so-called bookies' favourites in Leinster year in and year out to clinch championships, and win trophies. So, yeah, both teams have so much to play for. There's so much on the line. And whoever is behind in the scoreboard come 80 minutes, they're out, they're gone, and they don't have another chance until next season. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I know there's a bit of bad weather blowing in today, I believe. But yeah, I stuck a cheeky tenner on Shane Lowry. Well, I don't know why. Just because he's Irish probably, and he has a good beard or something. It's like, for me, it's like betting on the Grand National. I just look at, like, yeah, I like to look at him this week, or yeah, he's got something different, or he said something stupid in the media that's going to catch somebody's attention, and just throw a tenner on. He's 33-1, which I thought was pretty good odds considering Scheffler is really short, McIlroy short enough too. Um, but it's hard to look past Scheffler. Like, that last round in the Players' Championship in Sawgrass was just ridiculous. You just keep waiting for him to make a mistake, and he didn't. He just kept birdieing and birdieing it. And he probably could have had a couple more birdies going down the stretch. He was just so good. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic too with the live players coming back in. A number of those, Dustin Johnson, John Ram, who's been criticised heavily for taking all the cash. Cameron Smith is back in there too. We've hardly seen Cameron Smith since his big win at St Andrews in the Open. And yeah, Brooks Koepka, he's 18-1. Dustin Johnson, 33-1. Somebody like Jordan Spieth, who we know is a big day player, loves the Masters. Obviously has folded there as well, but he's 20-1. And I mentioned Cameron Smith is 28-1, and it'd be rude of us not to mention the great Tiger Woods, wouldn't it? And that's why there's so many more people who are going to tune in. Like, my wife's going to tune in just to see Tiger, like, tee it up. And she doesn't watch golf. She doesn't turn on any of the competitions. And anytime she walks into the living room, I got the golf on. She's like, "Oh no, not the golf again." But if she walks in and she sees the red shirt of Tiger Woods, "Oh, is Tiger Woods playing this week? Oh my goodness, yeah." And she'll sit down for 10 minutes and have a watch. So yeah, everybody's going to tune in, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. Lastly, is it Rory McIlroy's year? We say that we've been saying this for the last 10 years, but there was a question posed to Tiger Woods during the week, um, about, do you think Rory McIlroy will win the Grand Slam and win the Masters? And he said, absolutely. Whether it's this year, next year, he's going to have probably, 15, 20 more goes at it. He thinks he's absolutely got the capabilities to win the Masters. And the way he's playing, I think he's just a bit inconsistent. He's went and seen Butch Harmon a couple of weeks before the tournament kicks off. And is his game in the right position? Who knows? It might click. When he gets that driver going, he's really hard to catch. So Yeah, we all have hopes that McIlroy. I think everybody in the world, not just here in Northern Ireland or Ireland, like everybody in the world wants to see him win it. And I think if he does win it, he'd probably go on and win it another couple of times. Maybe a bit like Nick Faldo, maybe get three of them, three green jackets in his time. But there's so many like this. This should be the easiest competition to win because you've got the top 20 in the world, and then you have a lot. The other guys there aren't realistically in with a chance of winning. It's former champions and invitations and some amateurs that have made it in there as well. So it's not a huge field like you see in the other majors. Um, and yeah, it should be the easiest one, but for Rory McIlroy, it seems to be the most difficult. But I'm going to stick to an Irishman and go for Shane Lowry at 33 to 1. That's my little tip for the week.